We all must be receptive.
Welcome the dead into my soul.
Welcome the dead into my soul.
I welcome the dead into my soul.
I welcome the dead into my soul. I welcome the dead into my soul.
I welcome the dead into my soul. I welcome the dead into my soul. I welcome the dead into my soul.
There are others here as well.
Hey guys, what's happening? Niat here with Film Comics Explained, and today we'll be taking a look at Drag Me to Hell, which was a 2009 supernatural horror film co-written and directed by Sam Raimi, starring Lorna Raver, Justin Long, Dilip Rao, and Alison Lohman. The film essentially revolves around the life of a loan officer named Christine, who chooses not to extend the mortgage of an elderly customer to satiate her boss, who had accused her of being incapable of making tough decisions. Though this course of action established that she had the will and desire to make hard choices, in retaliation for losing her home, the old woman, who was also a Hungarian gypsy, ended up cursing Christine to 3 days of torment that would be followed by her immediate deliverance to hell. Drag Me to Hell is a smart, horrifying, hilarious, deliberately cringeworthy, and enjoyable film experience. It is in essence Sam Raimi's return to the style of filmmaking that put him on the map with his Evil Dead series, seamlessly merging two genres that would otherwise not make sense in any other script.
I have seen the dark shadows moving in the woods, and I have no doubt that whatever I have resurrected through this book is sure to come calling for me.
It's 7.
I don't believe it! Of spades. Queen of spades. Spades. Jack of diamonds. Jack of clubs.
I thoroughly enjoyed his Spider-Man films and think that the success of his trilogy and the X-Men series both played an important part in the eventual development of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we're enjoying today. But have to admit that I also missed his unique style of horror comedy, a longing that was finally satiated by Drag Me to Hell. The original story for Drag Me to Hell was written by Sam and his brother Ivan 10 years before the film went into production. The brothers had wanted to write a morality tale by exploring the actions of a character that was generally a good person, but decides to make a sinful choice for their own betterment, only to find themselves paying the ultimate price. The pair had wanted to jump straight into production, but had to put the film on hold for a decade while Sam worked on the Spider-Man trilogy. During this time, they'd also offered the script to the sensational Edgar Wright, who loved the script but had to turn it down due to his already busy production schedule, preparing to direct the outstanding action comedy Hot Fuzz. This ended up being a blessing in disguise, as the pair found it relatively easy to receive support and funding, especially after Raimi's Spider-Man films grossed over $1 billion collectively. After the project was greenlit, Sam immediately began casting the film. Ellen Page was initially cast to play Christine, but ended up pulling out due to the Screen Actors Guild strikes, and the role eventually went to Lohman. Stage actress Lorna Raver was then cast as Ganush, and extensively prepared for the role by hiring a Hungarian dialect coach and delving into Eastern European lore involving demons and curses. She also requested that parts of the script be translated into Hungarian, especially the incantations, which really helped in making Ganush look and sound authentic. Justin Long was then cast as Christine's boyfriend Clay, before Dilip Rao, David Paymer, and Reggie Lee were also added to the cast. The film begins in Pasadena, California during the late 1960s to reveal a couple who had sought the help of medium Sean Sandama after their son began hearing voices of evil spirits. The son confessed that he had stolen a silver necklace from a gypsy's wagon prior to being haunted by horrific apparitions, which Sandama explained was the source of the curse that had plagued him. And though the medium did all that she could to help, the child was attacked by a malevolent force that dragged him to the pits of hell. What the opening essentially does is foreshadow the eventual downfall of Christine, who, like the boy, was generally a good person, but would unfortunately make a single mistake that would forever change her life. We then head to the present day, where it's revealed that Christine, a loan officer working for a competitive bank, desired to be promoted to assistant manager over her co-worker Stu Rubin, and the only thing that seemed to be holding her back was her gentle and kind nature. After being advised by her boss to demonstrate that she could make tough decisions, Christine was then visited by an elderly client named Sylvia Ganush, who begged her for a third extension on her mortgage. Eager to please Jim, Christine decided to unfairly deny the woman's extension, who began to profusely beg her to reconsider, before cursing Christine as she was forced out of the bank by security. That evening, as she left for work, Christine began to feel an unsettling presence around her, and after entering her car, she was viciously attacked by the Hungarian gypsy from the back seat. This epic confrontation went on for a while, and though Christine managed to stab the gypsy through the throat, the old woman endured before taking a button from Christine's coat and cursing her to hell. I think we should also note that during this uncomfortable exchange, Ganush could be heard uttering the name Lamia, which is the very spirit that had come to claim the body of the child at the beginning of the film. Feeling the presence of something watching her, Christine persuaded her skeptical boyfriend Clay to join her and enter the building directly next to them, which was the home of a medium. After meeting with the resident psychic named Ram Jas, who confirmed that she was indeed cursed, everything began to spin out of control for Christine, who was continuously haunted by Lamia. This horror continued on to the next day, with Christine enduring more hallucinations at work, leading her to snap at Stu before suffering from a projectile nosebleed that soaked her boss in blood. Realizing the severity of her circumstances, the young woman then decided to beg the gypsy for forgiveness, hoping that this would help lift the curse, only to find out from the gypsy's granddaughter that she had recently died. Returning to Ram once again, the psychic explained that as long as Christine was the owner of the accursed object, she would continue to be haunted by the powerful demon known as Lamia, who, in Greek mythology, was a woman that became a child-eating monster after her children were destroyed by Hera. Taking the advice of Ram, who suggested she make a sacrifice to appease the demon, Christine killed her pet cat in an offering before meeting Clay's parents for dinner. Unfortunately for the cursed woman, her sacrifice proved to have no effect, with the hallucinations continuing once more, which, coupled with the voices in her head, led Christine to scream abruptly, frightening both Clay and his parents in the process. Relatively inexperienced with this caliber of curse, and unsure what more he could do on his own, Ram arranged for Christine to meet Sean Sandama, who was the medium that had first encountered Lamia decades prior. After explaining that her last confrontation with Lamia was unsuccessful, Dama assured Christine that she was determined to destroy the foul beast and redeem herself once and for all. Ram, Dama, and her assistant then prepared for a seance, hoping to destroy Lamia by luring it into the body of a goat that they would then kill. Managing to call Lamia to their presence, the demon initially possessed Sandama before traveling into the body of the goat, and finally Dama's assistant prior to being banished by the powerful medium in her final act before death. Unfortunately for the group, as they were unable to slaughter the goat while it was under the possession of Lamia, the banishment had done nothing but temporarily stall the inevitable for Christine. Though the demon would come to collect Christine the very next day, as promised, Ram revealed that there was one final way to get rid of the curse that he intentionally neglected to mention earlier. This essentially involved Christine handing the cursed object, which Ram had placed in an envelope, over to someone else as a gift, who would then be forced to take her place. Heading to a late-night cafe on her own to grapple with the difficult choice ahead of her, Christine considered giving it to a waitress that gave her attitude, an old man that looked as though he was on his deathbed, and finally her co-worker Stu, who was the only one that had wronged her, before realizing that she did not have the heart to condemn any of them to hell. Emboldened by a picture of the deceased Ganush in the obituaries, she then came up with a final plan to gift the cursed button back to the gypsy, and we saw her digging up the grave in a last-minute effort to save her soul. Forcing the envelope into the mouth of Ganush and climbing out of the grave, Christine returned home to hear a voicemail from her boss stating that they were firing Stu for misconduct and promoting her to the position that she'd been after the whole time, which helped lull her into a false sense of security. Meeting up with Clay at the train station the next morning, who intended to propose to her during their weekend getaway, she finally admitted that she had deliberately wronged Ganush. Clay then pulled out the envelope that contained the cursed button, joking that she must have accidentally switched it with the envelope containing his lucky coin, leading Christine to step back in shock, moments before being dragged down to hell through a hole that had opened beneath the tracks. I thoroughly enjoyed this film, which harkened back to Raimi's Evil Dead series, injecting a healthy dose of chaos, horror, gore, and black comedy to create an uncomfortably enjoyable experience. Not many directors can successfully achieve this blend of genres without sacrificing the heart and soul of the film, and for this, Sam must be commended. He's even stated that Drag Me to Hell and Evil Dead both exist in the same universe, and it's no surprise as the film has the same slapstick comedy and gooey liquids that made Evil Dead stand out in a decade that produced classics like The Thing, Aliens, Hellraiser, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and Return of the Living Dead.
Well, it's first primarily important to scare them. But then in addition, I like to put a little bit of black humor in the films to create a little relief of tension and to infuse the audience with laughter, which I think is appreciated in a horror picture. For me, it supports it and is a nice counterpoint to the feelings of terror.
Bruce Campbell, who plays Ash in the Evil Dead series and has made an appearance in every film that Sam has directed, was offered a role in Drag Me to Hell, and though this was never confirmed, I suspect it was going to be a cameo of Ash himself, reinforcing the notion that the films were in a shared universe. And though Bruce was unable to make the shoot due to prior commitments on another film, in one of the scenes, we actually get to see Ash's yellow Oldsmobile Delta 88 from the Evil Dead films, parked directly across from Christine's car. Well, that's all for today, folks. Thanks to all of you guys who requested we explore Drag Me to Hell. If there's any other stuff you'd like me to check out, please don't hesitate to ask. As always, it's been a pleasure. Niat here with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.
¡Señora Chanzandina! ¿Señora Chanzandina? ¿Sí? Ay, por favor, ayuda a mi hijo.
Cada vez más fuerte.
¿Qué hizo?
Nada.
Dígame lo que hizo.
Se robó un collar de plata de una carreta gitana.
Tráigalo adentro.